a dynasty shrouded in mystery. When we talk about wealth, names like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, or Warren Buffett usually come to mind. But behind the scenes, beyond the headlines of tech moguls and Wall Street billionaires, there exists a family whose influence stretches back centuries. A name whispered in conspiracy theories, tied to secretive banking empires, and considered by many as the very symbol of generational wealth: the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds are not just another rich family, they are seen as one of the most powerful dynasties in human history. Their story is one of ambition, secrecy, financial genius, and an uncanny ability to shape nations. But how did one family accumulate such vast wealth, maintain it for over 200 years, and build a reputation as the richest family in the world? Today, on Mr. Rich, we uncover the fascinating journey of the Rothschild dynasty. The story begins in the 18th century Frankfurt, Germany, with a man named Meyer Amschel Rothschild. Born in 1744 in the Jewish ghetto, Meyer came from humble beginnings. His family ran a small, money-changing business, but Meyer's ambition was far greater than simply exchanging coins. He became an apprentice in banking, studied finance, and eventually built connections with wealthy aristocrats and royalty. Meyer understood something revolutionary for his time: money could move across borders faster than armies. While kings were still relying on horses and messengers, Meyer created a system of financial trust through letters and credit notes. By the late 1700s, Meyer had built a solid foundation, but his real genius wasn't just in his financial skills, it was in his vision for his children. He didn't want one son to run the family business. Instead, he created a strategy that would change history. Meyer Amschel Rothschild had 5 sons, and rather than keeping them together in Frankfurt, he sent each one to a different European capital. Amschel remained in Frankfurt. Salomon went to Vienna. Karl went to Naples. James went to Paris. This became known as the 5 Arrows strategy, symbolizing unity and strength. Each son established a branch of the Rothschild banking empire in their city, working together while also embedding themselves into the heart of Europe's financial and political systems. Nathan Rothschild, in particular, made history in London. By the early 1800s, he was financing wars, trading gold, and even helping fund the Duke of Wellington's army against Napoleon. Nathan's ability to transfer funds across countries quickly gave him an edge no government treasury could match. This decentralized yet unified approach allowed the Rothschilds to dominate European finance for over a century. One of the most famous episodes in Rothschild history is their role in the Napoleonic Wars. Nathan Rothschild became legendary for using his financial network to send funds where armies needed them most. Some historians even credit him with ensuring Britain's victory at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. After Napoleon's defeat, Nathan Rothschild allegedly used insider knowledge of the outcome to make a fortune on the London Stock Exchange, though the story has been exaggerated over time. What is undeniable, however, is that the Rothschilds became the go-to bankers for governments. The Rothschilds weren't just bankers, they were kingmakers. During the Napoleonic Wars, they provided funds to Britain, Austria, and their allies, ensuring armies had weapons, supplies, and salaries. Nathan Rothschild in London famously financed Wellington's campaign against Napoleon, turning the tide of European history. But their influence didn't end there. After Waterloo, they organized vast loans that stabilized governments and rebuilt war-torn economies. Their ability to move money faster than anyone else gave them unmatched leverage, making nations dependent on their approval. They weren't just financing battles, they were shaping borders, treaties, and the political future of Europe. In many ways, they became silent partners in the writing of modern history. They financed railways, industries, and infrastructure. They lent money to monarchs and prime ministers. They helped stabilize currencies and pioneered techniques in international finance that are still used today. By the mid-19th century, the Rothschilds were Europe's unofficial central bank. By the 1800s, the Rothschilds were everywhere. Their banking houses in London, Paris, Vienna, Frankfurt, and Naples controlled vast amounts of capital. They financed the Suez Canal, the Austrian Empire, and major industrial projects. They even became heavily involved in the mining and oil industries. The family's fortune was so immense that it was often said they were richer than any king. In fact, their network was so powerful that governments rarely made big financial moves without consulting them first. By the 1800s, the Rothschilds were everywhere. Their banking houses in London, Paris, Vienna, Frankfurt, and Naples controlled vast amounts of capital. They financed the Suez Canal, the Austrian Empire, and major industrial projects. They even became heavily involved in the mining and oil industries. The family's fortune was so immense that it was often said they were richer than any king. In fact, their network was so powerful that governments rarely made big financial moves without consulting them first. But here's the catch. The Rothschilds didn't flaunt their wealth like modern billionaires. They avoided the spotlight, rarely appeared in public, and used strategies to keep their wealth within the family through marriages. This secrecy fueled rumors and conspiracy theories that still persist today. Their wealth wasn't just measured in money, it was in influence. They helped design the very frameworks of global banking, setting interest rates, managing sovereign debts, and introducing complex financial instruments. The Rothschilds also diversified early, pouring fortunes into railroads, metals, and wine estates that remained symbols of their empire. By mid-century, they weren't just financiers, they were the architects of Europe's economic growth. But here's the catch. The Rothschilds didn't flaunt their wealth like modern billionaires. They avoided the spotlight, rarely appeared in public, and used strategies to keep their wealth within the family through marriages. This secrecy fueled rumors and conspiracy theories that still persist today. Here comes the million-dollar question, or perhaps the trillion-dollar one. Just how rich are the Rothschilds? The challenge is that the Rothschild fortune has always been spread across many branches, trusts, and investments. Unlike Elon Musk, who has stock in Tesla, or Jeff Bezos with Amazon, the Rothschilds diversified into banking, real estate, mining, and more. In the 19th century, they were undoubtedly the richest family in the world. Some estimates suggest their collective fortune would equal hundreds of billions, if not trillions, in today's money. Even today, though their influence isn't as visible as before, the Rothschilds remain extremely wealthy, with stakes in banking groups, wineries, and investment firms. The secrecy around their true wealth is what makes the Rothschilds both fascinating and mysterious. The Rothschilds weren't just bankers, they were power brokers. Their loans shaped the destinies of nations. Monarchs turned to them in times of crisis. Governments relied on them to stabilize economies. In Britain, Nathan Rothschild became so influential that politicians feared going against him. In France, James Rothschild was known as King James because of his power. Across Europe, their banking houses were intertwined with politics at the highest levels, but influence goes beyond finance. The Rothschilds became art collectors, philanthropists, and patrons of science. They supported Jewish communities across Europe, funded hospitals, and built institutions that still exist today. With great wealth and secrecy comes suspicion. For over 200 years, the Rothschilds have been at the center of conspiracy theories. Some claim they secretly control the world's central banks. Others believe they manipulate wars, revolutions, and even governments to their advantage. Anti-Semitic tropes have also unfairly targeted them, portraying the family as puppet masters of global finance. While many of these theories are exaggerated or false, they highlight the aura of mystery that surrounds the Rothschild name. The truth is simpler. The family was extraordinarily skilled at banking, used innovative strategies, and maintained a network of influence unmatched by any other. By the 20th century, the Rothschilds' dominance began to wane. The rise of American banks like JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs shifted financial power across the Atlantic. Wars, nationalizations, and political changes also reduced their control, but the family never disappeared. Today, Rothschild companies still operate in investment banking, asset management, and wine production. The Rothschild Group manages billions in assets, and branches of the family continue to wield influence in finance and philanthropy. They may not be as publicly powerful as in the 19th century, but their legacy and wealth endure. So what is the true legacy of the Rothschilds? On one hand, they revolutionized international banking, created systems of trust and finance that laid the foundation for the global economy, and built a dynasty that lasted for centuries. On the other, their secrecy and immense influence have made them symbols of wealth inequality and subjects of endless speculation. Whether seen as visionary bankers or shadowy power brokers, one thing is clear: the Rothschilds changed the world forever. Their story is not just about money, it's about power, influence, and the ability of one family to shape history. Wealth, power, and mystery. As we look at today's billionaires, it's tempting to think wealth and power are modern phenomena, but the Rothschilds remind us that long before Tesla, Amazon, or Microsoft, there were dynasties that could rival entire nations. The Rothschilds may not seek headlines, but their impact on finance, politics, and society remains undeniable. They are the blueprint for generational wealth and the symbol of how far ambition can take a family. And so, when we ask who the richest family in the world is, the answer doesn't lie on today's Forbes list. It lies in the centuries-old story of the Rothschilds. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating world of the Rothschilds, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video with others who love uncovering the secrets of wealth and power. This is Mr. Rich, your channel for exploring the untold stories of billionaires, dynasties, and luxury lifestyles. Stay tuned, because the next story might just surprise you.